And let the record show that there was no action. Next item on the agenda is I need a motion for adjournment. It was moved by Councilman Richards, so we adjourned. It was seconded by Councilman Luttrell. And is there any discussion? No further discussion. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. I'll now turn the meeting over to Councilman Ock.
Call the meeting of the Public Building Commission to order. Manny, can you please take roll call?
Kent Miller,
Yes.
Tom Noss,
Yes.
Matt Audie.
Here. Okay, next is, entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting minutes and approved. Moving on to the next thing, we need to appoint a secretary, so I'll entertain a motion for nomination for a secretary.
I nominate Kim Moore.
You're the sure you don't want to make Mandy?
Oh, yeah. Give her Mandy. She does a great job. It's either her or Elon.
I'm not very good with shorthand, so good luck with that.
Excuse me, I nominate Mandy.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, Mandy, you're a secretary. Next will be appointment of a treasurer.
I nominate Tom.
You guys say no?
Yeah, go ahead. You can.
Okay, I'll second it. Tom, you're a treasurer. Next thing is we need to elect new members of the Public Building Commission, correct? Glenn? Is that?
I don't think they're beyond their limits yet. No, I don't think you have to.
Well, that's
It's
not
just the
good.
appointment of the officers on this one. Yeah, I think you're all still under your terms.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All right, let's stand adjourned.
Thank you, man. We're now in the work session. Katie, do you have anything at this time?
No.
Glenn?
nothing further.
Next on the discussion items is fireworks. And I think Chief Rugg has been visiting with Glenn a little bit about the potential of dry weather that we're still experiencing, even though we have rain. A few years ago, we stopped the sale of fireworks, and there is still a concern if the dry weather continues, the potential for fires within the city with, some of these cedar trees and things like that are pretty combustible in these dry weather. So I think they're just kind of wanting a feeling on what the council was wanting. Is that the direction?
Well, I got some calls from citizens who were thinking of purchasing, and some of them purchase those for fundraisers. They have organizations that go out and purchase those and they resell them out here. So they were kind of wanting to know if we were heading that direction. So I did contact the chief, and he said, well, this was a week ago. He said, I could not tell you today because I don't know what the weather's going to be in the next 4 to 5 weeks. As you remember, 2 years ago when we did this, we were about a week away, or probably less, probably 4 or 5 days away from that window of opportunity to sell and purchase and then use the fireworks, and then we stopped it because the county put its ban on there. I don't know if we want to wait for that long. Our next regular meeting is on the 17th of June, but still, that leaves you a couple weeks away from 4th of July. So if we were to do it again, we would probably have a special meeting at the end of June again if it were dry. And again, the fire chief will come with a recommendation if he feels we are in danger once again. So he want to make people aware if they're thinking about making that purchase. It's been a dry year. We've had some substantial rain the past 2 weeks, but it's been a dry year. So there's a potential the county again could act, and a potential the city could act on banning the fireworks. We pull out that ordinance again we had 2 years ago to re-implement that, and then we'd be under that again. So he hasn't forgotten about that, and so he can't give a solid answer because we don't know what the weather's going to be for the next 4 or 5 weeks coming up here. We're getting, of course, closer here, and it is wetter. I think we got another chance of storms here this week, but you never know. It's Kansas, so we could turn hot and dry real quick again, and we could be back to where we were 2 years ago. So this is kind of a caution to people if they're thinking about purchasing at this point. You use your own judgment. I'm not going to try to tell people one or the other at this point, but I would think by the 3rd week of June, the fire chief will contact me and say he wants to go forward or not with a van. So that's probably what we're looking at.
Could we just let the public know this is a possibility? And then
Yeah, I think that's why he
leave
wanted it
up
on
to
the agenda
Steve
tonight,
to
yeah.
make the call.
Right.
Or the county or whoever.
Right.
Be my recommendation.
Yeah. Yeah, the chief will be the one coming for the
But
recommendation.
just so the public is aware that this is a possibility.
Right. Yeah, so I wouldn't get too excited one way or the other, because we're getting rain. That doesn't mean, again, we couldn't turn real dry real quick, because we've done that before. But so far, so good. If we keep getting 2 inches of rain every week, I mean, I think we'll be all right. But that doesn't usually happen in June. That's what
Yeah.
it usually does. Yeah, they really had it for a long time.
The same extension application, which was like the 14th last year, from January
Yeah.
through April since
Yeah,
1895.
it's just been,
So it's plenty dry,
yeah.
quite a ways behind on precipitation. so.
Yeah, so if we're getting to that point, of course, I'll let you know what the chief is thinking, and we'll proceed from there.
Okay.
That's really all we have on that.
Okay. The housing pilot program,
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I wanted to
I
make sure.
figured
you
it
were talking about
was.
It's me. I just wanted to make you aware that I think, fingers crossed, I have a project for this housing pilot program. This is one that we've talked about just a little bit. It's a first year, it's a pilot program, first year out. It is from the state of Kansas. It is a CDBG grant. It is a pretty significant grant. The maximum is $500,000 is what we can ask for, but it is a 2-to-1 match. So for every 50 cents someone puts in, they get $1 from CDBG. It does need to be a low to moderate income project, and it does need to have at least 4 units in one place. So we've scoured pretty hard. We've had some ideas. I think we possibly have a project, and I think we have an investor for it. And it's a great project for the city. It'd be really good. It'll keep some low to moderate income homes available, which is great. So we're kind of still in negotiations, so that's all I can really tell you today. But I'm hoping to have something here pretty quick. The reason I need to let you know is that we have to apply, the city of Beloit has to apply for this by July 1st. Meaning, I have to be able to come to the next meeting, which is June 16th, 17th, 17th, and we'll have to sign, you guys will have to sign off on that project. The maximum dollar figure that the city of Beloit would be responsible for would be $2,000, and that's an environmental review. We're in the process of doing an environmental review right now for the project we currently have. We're gonna see if that would work, and if not, and there's some objections, we could always put that back on the investor also. Otherwise, there's no match, nothing the city has to do, we'll just have to run it through the city. But I guess I wanted to see if there were any questions. I probably can't tell you enough. Yes, sir.
The people that are gonna qualify to get this, are these gonna be like disability families?
Nope,
Or,
just low and moderate income.
so there'll be people that have jobs and income?
Yeah. It's a great project. I'm excited to tell you about it, but I can't yet.
How many units are we expecting to get out of it? Huh?
A lot. Yeah, it's a good project. Sorry.
Bigger
I
than-
really want to
Go
tell you
ahead,
really
keep
bad.
asking. Bigger than the Mansky project, or
Um,
smaller than?
Similar.
Similar to the Mansky project.
You got all you're gonna get.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't finish now.
I really did. I was
Definitely
trying.
continue on, and thank you for your
Yes,
effort.
yes, we're excited. So if you have any questions, and otherwise, I mean, I'm hoping here within a few days, we'll kind of know what it is, and then we'll start working the project. It's definitely something that's good for the community, so we're happy. And the way it works, that it's 51% have to stay low to moderate income. So 51% of the tenants have to be low to moderate income, which is kind of where it is now. It's something that we'll be able to keep, which is good. But we'll be ready on June 17th to sign off, and it's a pre-application, so all we're really doing is, it's much less formal than anything we've done in the past, and then probably the state will come back with either a site visit or a bunch of questions for us like they did last time. And the other project's trucking ahead, so we're pretty good with that one too.
So it'd be like a rent-a-home type thing? like-
No, it's still just apartments,
So the tenants will be renting from the city or this developer?
the development. Yep. We're staying out of it as the city. We're just the applicant. Everything has to be applied through from a government agency. So you can see it.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for all your work.
Yeah, no problem. It's a good project. We're excited.
And Heather, you might wanna talk about the downtown one that we got going, did Doug tell you about? They're going out for bids on the windows.
Windows, that's what we've been waiting on with the
Yeah.
commercial rehab here. The one that we got like a year and a half ago.
Seems like forever, but
Yeah, it's a lot of hurry up and wait, which is kind of what it is for the housing one that we're into. Commercial one's the same way. That one ended up, the project here, Full House project, ended up a Kansas historical problem with the windows. But I think we finally fixed that, or they finally fixed that.
it sounds like it, yeah.
Nothing comes with no strings,
Yeah.
but we'll play the game and we'll get the money.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Next item on the agenda, under discussion items, is the cost of living adjustment increases. You have some questions for Glenn, or Glenn, you have any comments?
Well, every year, previously, we've done a cost of living adjustment, and all I did was go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which I've done in the past, and did the past year, and they come up with a consumer price index here. They just use for the Midwest region, it's broad enough to cover, and what you see in the past year is that for the Midwest, the inflation is running at 1.9%, which is about what I was guessing around 2%. And so typically then what we have done is moved our cost of living adjustment, which affects where our step and grade program is at. So everybody in their current step and would get that 1.9% adjustment to the step and grade on that date that we implement the cost of living. So
How exactly does that work, Glenn? If somebody has a step and grade that they're supposed to get, you're gonna add 1.9% to that?
to this, yeah, for the, right.
So you're not gonna give, not two separate raises, it's all gonna be in one.
Well, the range moves, let's put it that way, but
It's
then
just
you're
a
still,
change in the
yeah,
range.
it's changing the range is what it is. But you're still eligible for your merit if you qualify for that.
So what is the average percent of raise from a step and merit raise?
Well, if you get the full merit raise, you get another 3% on top of that.
So they could potentially get a 5% raise?
Yeah, yeah.
I got a problem with that.
Have most more people maxed out their merit where they're at?
I don't know how many, but we do have a number for our longtime employees. If you've been in that pay range for a long time, yeah, you'll be stuck in the top of your range, as we call it. You're topped out, and you're not eligible for merit. But the only increase you get is when we make an adjustment to the range. Whether it's this or we do another pay plan. then
So it's not a reasonable expectation that every employee is gonna get a 5% raise?
No, it's not across the board, no. And if you don't make it on the merit side, you don't get that either. So there's no guarantee on either way on that, so. No, I mean, in what we'd done a couple years ago, we had done a pay plan and moved those ranges up. And then we were gonna do another one a couple of years ago, and then we decided, well, so let's not do that, and let's just go with cost of living and move the ranges every year, just tie that to the consumer price index, rather than doing a full-blown study, which I think the last one we did was 5 years ago now. So in lieu of doing all that, we decided, let's go ahead and just do the cost of living instead, and make it just simpler that way. Just move the ranges, and the whole point is so you don't get behind, because we do in another few years, do another study, you're gonna find that you fell behind, 10% here, 5% here, depending on how you compare with other cities. So we just decided to go ahead and do this instead. That's what we did last year.
How often do they get step and merit?
For the merit, it's once a year. You're eligible once a year. But it's usually when your anniversary comes up and you get your
But
evaluation.
it's not a given.
No, it isn't.
And with our evaluation system, if you don't get a good evaluation, then you're not gonna get the.
You're not gonna get the right.
Well, I don't have a problem with either one. I have a problem with giving somebody a 5% raise. That's a lot of money.
Well, but that's not a given.
No.
No, you
that's not-
gotta, the one is,
I mean,
right.
you've gotta be doing a good job to get your 5% raise.
What percentage you think would be getting that much of a raise?
Oh, I really don't know. I don't know how many, what percentage of, and it changes, of course, every year too. I mean, and of course, not everybody's going to evaluate the same month or, you know, it's staggered throughout the year, so it's really hard
I'll
to
tell you
say.
what I'd like to see us total up what that amount of money would be for all that department, give it to the department head to disperse based on departmental productivity. Are they meeting the goals that we want them to get done? Like the contract, the power plant is running 3 guys over the summer. They're gonna be, you know, doing 12-hour shifts probably in the power plant. We need to get some more guys in there. You know, if they're really humping, I think we give their department head the discretion to give the good guys raises, you know.
Well, I may be thinking wrong here too. Okay, what's the average merit raise? Say 50 cents.
Oh, yeah, what does it work out to the dog? Yeah, I really have.
So are you basically adding 1.9% to that 50 cents? Or are you adding 1.9% to the overall salary?
Well, it's your range, wherever you're at. I mean, they're just gonna move your range up that 1.9, that's all it is. So, yeah, I see what you, see,
So
the
if you're
problem is.
making
yeah.
$20 an hour, you're not gonna get $1 raise just for this COLA.
No, it's fairly minimal, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
right, I mean, so the
Okay,
1.9.
well, then
Yeah,
my
see, it's,
thinking-
yeah, I mean, you're just staying even with inflation, and
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's not like you're just gonna get.
Yeah, that
They're gonna
works.
jump up at, $2 an hour or something, or
It's just deceiving the way.
Right, yeah, because, well, you're doing it by dollar and then compare that to the percent. But,
Yeah,
Matt's talking about a completely different type of pay system that you'd have to rework and.
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it's just.
Okay. All right, well, we can back that, we can act on that at the next meeting.
Okay, with that,
I've got a question. Look, how is the road construction coming up at the North Campus?
Well-
Silver Fox.
We have moved, packed about 4,000 tons so far of dirt, just to get the grade where we've started. We're moving along, and when it rains, we don't. We were up there again today, so it took us out a day yesterday, but that gives us time for a little maintenance on the equipment and stuff. But it's coming right along,
Is it good?
yeah.
I have one thing. I've had calls, I know others have, and I've talked to Glenn about the dog ordinances and so forth. And it seems like there's some confusion as to the proper procedure now. I had a guy say that Chris has to see this happen. And I've heard you can take a picture. My son actually was told by Chris that he had to see it. Well, that pretty much ties your hands when you have an incident with an animal. And I think we need to get something hard and fast on this animal control. And I would really like to see the planning commission get rolling on this limit of animals per household and this parking cars in the front yard. That's just a couple things that we talk about it, but I'd like to see them get it on their agenda and address it.
I thought on the dog issue, if the complainant will sign a complaint, then they can act on it without Chris seeing it. Anybody can sign the complaint, but if Chris doesn't see it, he can't do anything if he doesn't actually see it. But if the person that complains will sign a complaint,
Well, I
then
know
he
the
can
one has
enforce
to
it.
sign
Is
it.
that
Yeah,
close?
I can address this.
Katie can do that better than I can.
If you think about it in terms of, if this thing comes all the way to court, how am I going to prove it? I either need Chris to see it, have pictures, or I need the person to see it or have pictures. And it's true, the person can sign the complaint, they also have to be willing to come to court and testify. And, pictures are great, you don't have to have them, of course they help, but I would need testimony from, I can't have Chris come to court and say, well, this person told me that they were attacked by a dog. I have to have them come and say it. And yes, a citizen can sign a complaint, I can prepare a complaint, Chris can prepare a complaint, and they can sign it, he can sign it, I can sign it. When the officers do it, they sign it. There's lots of ways to do that, but the biggest thing is the witnesses and making sure that I can prove a case.
So what's the penalty for a dog running at large?
I think it's, the first time it's $25, I think, and then $75 court cost, so $100, and then it goes up 50, and then, I can't remember, it's third or fourth time you can lose your dog, which we've done that before. Taking dogs.
Does the same thing apply as far as if there is a dog run large, the complaint has to be signed by a neighbor or whomever?
Doesn't have to. I mean, if they would come to me with enough evidence and, you know, I can sign a complaint, or Chris can, or they can if they feel comfortable, and then I would put them on there as a witness, and then they'd have to come to court. So, it doesn't really matter who signs it, that's kind of the least.
Okay, if they come with a complaint with a picture showing the dog in their yard,
That's
is that enough proof?
excellent proof, yes.
Well, if a person, let's say a person's walking and a dog runs out by it, can you call the police or would you have to call Chris?
Oh, I think you can call. I mean, I think if they're
Yeah,
available,
you
the
can.
officers will come, but sometimes they're not. But yeah, they've handled those types of things before. I know one time we had a dog killing chickens and the police had to take care of that one, so.
Well, I got one question. I had a person call me and said they let their dog out between 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning, and it barks all the time. I told them to call the chief of police. That's what I told them, that's
Nobody's
disturbing
called
the
me about a
peace.
dog barking at 6 a.m.
Well,
Isn't that-
stops
isn't that
there, man.
disturbing the peace?
Yes, yeah. But I mean, yeah, you probably wouldn't want to call Chris, but I suppose if you want
But
to.
you can call me, I'll take care of it.
Well, I met the police department, but I didn't come up with the chief.
Okay, well, I
I gotta
just,
keep him busy.
I would just like to see us really get some teeth into this thing, because we're getting a lot of complaints.
Well, and a lot of time, you know, it's hard for neighbors sometimes to come and testify against neighbors. That I think prevents a lot of, and they want to just have Chris do it for them, but he can't if he's not a witness to it.
Well, in this
so-
Well, if they're gonna complain, then they've gotta be willing to step
Yeah.
up
Oh,
and
yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Well, typically they call me and want us to just go pick up the animal.
Yeah.
And so we can't do that. We can't just go hound the animal.
Well, I've got a cat that's been coming in my yard, and trust me, I will take care of that situation myself. I don't need to call Chris. And I don't need to wait 3 days either.
Well, one of the
You're gonna
things
take it
that I
and feed
agree
it, right?
Yeah.
Then feed it for real.
with this parking in the yards, and I think we're gonna try to address that with our codes once we get that done, and that, you know, which will be nice, is it's pretty
Well,
unsightly.
you know, that is kind of disturbing. This guy still parks his car in the front yard and the neighbors. But over here, a guy working on cars and you can't even see him from the street or anything. And boy, we clamp down on him, but boy, this guy gets to do it all the time.
But these guys, cars are running.
Yeah, they go with the handicap ramps.
All three houses up
They're
there.
handicapped. Okay, well, that's it, we'll stand adjourned.
Told him, yeah. He needs to step
Well, Rick's not.
Hey, if you're gonna do that, get it, you know, sure.
I know it is already. I'll forward it. I don't think they will. Oh, Chris was talking to me. He says they don't, they have an excuse. They have an excuse. The kids,